Thank you very much for the introduction. First off, I just want to apologize. My Spanish is terrible. My English is even worse, but I'm Irish, so hopefully the translators will understand everything. So today I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Naked Wines and our story. So thank you very much for having me along today to tell you this. And I really just want to tell you about how we've innovated a very ancient industry, the wine industry, and how we've achieved success and profitability. And some lessons we've learned along the way. So, going forward with your own businesses, maybe you can learn something from what we've done in the last 5 years. So really, just Naked Wines as an introduction, we're a crowd-funded wine business. So we're a wine retailer with a difference. We're online only, and our customers support small independent winemakers in exchange for preferential prices. Okay, the company was founded 5 years ago in Norwich, in England. We've got 85 people up there, and last year we launched in the United States and Australia. The company was founded by a guy called Rowan Gormley, who's my boss. Saul was speaking about entrepreneurs last night at a founders event, or at a CEO's event, and talking about, in some countries, some systems, you just get people who are just serial entrepreneurs, and no is not an answer for them. And Rowan is one of these guys. He set up 3 businesses under Richard Branson at Virgin, so Virgin Finance, Virgin One Account, and Virgin Wines. And then in 2007, if you rewind back, the recession had just hit, Lehman Brothers had just gone bust, the world was falling apart, and Rowan decided it was a great time to leave his job, take 15 of his best people with him, and start Naked Wines. So if you picture it, they're in Rowan's back garden with a blank sheet of paper sitting under a tree thinking, what do we do next? And this is where the concept of Naked Wines was born. Just quickly about myself, so I'm COO of the business, so my job is to travel around the world to find winemakers to make wines for our customers. So I enjoy my job. Before that, you're probably thinking, how the hell did I land that job? I used to work for Accenture, and I see they're a kind sponsor of this event, so I'll be nice. Let's just say it didn't suit me. So I started a wine blog on the side of my job, and that wine blog took me to a wine bloggers conference in Vienna, where I met Rowan, my boss, my future boss, and went for some beers and some more beers, and 4 months later I was working for him, running his business. So about Naked Wines, and the question on everyone's lips is, where is future growth coming from? Is it coming from the Far East? Is it another social network which will pop up? I think mobile 3D printing is pretty cool, but we'll see. But really the question is, where will future growth come from? And we believe that answer is staring us right at the face. It is in this room, it's on every single seat in this auditorium. And we believe the future growth of business will be the social business. And I got some figures to tell you why. And this is why we should take it seriously. My favorite wine is Ribera del Duero. And in the UK today, and it might be the same over here, but for every 1 bottle of delicious Carlos Rodriguez Ribera del Duero, you can get 4 that actually don't cost wine. It's cost other than wine. So 70 to 80% of wine in the UK market at the moment is not actual wine cost. It's selling cost, it's marketing cost, it's storage, duties, taxes, distribution. It's cost you can't taste. So the big statement here is we are paying to be sold to. When we buy wine, when we buy books, when we buy anything, there's a lot of selling cost built in there that isn't actually necessary. And when you look at wine, a tiny proportion of the bottle you actually buy in the high street today, only a small proportion of that is actual juice inside the bottle. Okay? And my favorite Irishman, you're probably wondering what the hell is he doing in my presentation. I'm not saying for a second that Naked Wines is Ryanair for wine. We would never charge customers to use our toilets. But what Michael Leary did do 20 years ago was he was one of the first guys to figure out this idea of you shouldn't pay to be sold to. So rewind back to the early 90s, and Ryanair is a small, struggling airline flying from Dublin to London. Flights are half empty, and O'Leary inherited the business and had to fix it. So he said to his board, our flights every week are half empty because they're priced as though they're full. Why don't we price them as though they're half empty? Maybe they will fill up. Okay? So the board went with this. O'Leary removed the travel agents from the equation altogether, and suddenly passengers paid for the flight itself, not to be sold to. Suddenly, bookings rocketed, profitability rocketed, and today Ryanair are the most profitable, successful, punctual, and safest airline in Europe. Okay? So just a little bit about Naked. In 4.5 years, we've recruited 500,000 new customers in the UK. We've invested over £40 million into independent winemakers like Bill. We're shipping over 25,000 bottles of wine every single day. That's the equivalent of 2 double-decker buses. And we grew sales by 54% last year, and we're profitable. Woohoo! And we've managed those sort of numbers whilst competing in an industry that is full of pretty established players and giants, so your Tesco's and Laithwaites of this world. Let me tell you something about the wine industry in the UK. It is 2,000 years old, and it's every bit as backward and old-fashioned as its age. It's an industry which values tradition over innovation, and it's an industry full of agents, middlemen, oxygen wasters, and unnecessary markups. Okay? And we've managed to carve out a small piece of the market for ourselves, despite this competition. And a perfect example of how these guys work, if you're a winemaker, a supermarket will screw you out of every single last penny. So they'll remove the winemaker's margin and happily give up that margin to the customer, as long as the customer goes into the store and buys bread and nappies. Nappies are diapers. Yeah. Okay. So it's really, it's a successful business model. There's no doubt it works. But we don't have that buying power, nor is it our style. We don't think it's fair on the winemaker. So in order to succeed against these guys, we do the complete opposite. Okay? And this is how our business model works. It's very simple, but it works really well. So we've got a bunch of customers called angels. So you're a wine customer, and you, in the UK, put in £20 a month into your wine account. We have 125,000 angels now, so we get £2.5 million a month coming in. And as a customer, that £20 a month, it's not a fee or a charge, it's your money to spend on wine. Okay? So we get all those £20 notes coming in every month, and then we can invest it in small, talented winemakers all over the world. So their sales are guaranteed before they even pick a grape. So rather than having to spend time and money trying to sell their wine, their sales are guaranteed, so they spend time and money in the cellar making the wine taste delicious. So we end up with a delicious wine at a lower price, which we pass back on to the customer in the form of preferential prices. So as an angel, for putting in your £20 a month, you get discounted prices of between 25 to 50%. Okay? So it's a really nice, we call it the virtuous circle, where everybody wins. Customer gets better wines for less money, winemaker gets to make a living and sell all their wines, and we sit in the middle, taking the same margin as the rest of the industry, only that the unnecessary cost is eliminated. And it's a nice, renewable, sustainable model, because the more angels we get, the more £20 notes come in, the more winemakers we need to find, the more wines they need to make, the cheaper the wine becomes, and it just rotates like that. And then we tie it all together in a very social website. Okay, so we connect the winemaker directly with the customer. So if you go on our site, you'll see comments from customers. They comment on the wines, they rate the wines, give their feedback. And customers love speaking to winemakers because it's a really nice thing to say, I'm friends with the winemaker, I'm friends with the bottle of wine we're drinking tonight. And winemakers, believe it or not, love hearing from customers as well, because they're the real people actually drinking their wine. So rather than a journalist, a critic, their agent, their shareholder, their boss, telling them their wine tastes good or bad, you're actually getting hundreds and thousands of people, of real people actually drinking this stuff, giving their feedback. And just a couple of examples. This is very real. Okay, so we're actually changing lives of real winemakers. So Katie Jones is one winemaker. She's an English lady in the south of France. And earlier this year, she was away at a wine fair. We weren't working with Katie at this stage, but we read a news story that she'd been away at a wine fair and vandals had broken into her winery and emptied the tank of her white wine. So 50% of her business was literally down the drain. So Katie was facing ruin. So we picked up the phone to her and said, listen, Katie, I'm so sorry what's happened, but we've got a bunch of customers who I'm sure would love to help you. And in a month later, 2,500 people in one afternoon raised £200,000 for Katie to get her back in business. So Katie was out in the fields last week in France picking her grapes, and it was only possible thanks to our customers who rescued her. Okay? An example closer to home, good old Carlos. He is a consultant winemaker up in Rioja, but he travels all over the north of Spain making delicious wines. And like many people, couldn't get money from the banks to start his own business. Like all winemakers, their dream is to get their own name on a bottle of wine and run their own business. Not possible for Carlos. And through our funding, he sells 500,000 bottles of wine a year through us. And last year, he had an amazing time. He got married, he became a father for the first time, and most importantly, he was voted Winemaker of the Year by thousands of our customers. Let's have a quick video, Cesar, if you're anywhere there.
Hey buddies, I'm Carlos Rodriguez, independent Spanish winemaker, working with Naked Wines. I would like to thank all of you, especially to the angels, because thanks to your support, Naked Wine is financing me, my own project. I've always wanted to develop my own wines, but this was going to be almost impossible. Because today, as everybody knows, it's really hard to get money from the banks. I like to understand it by myself, like the only option I could have to get the money from a bank if I would like to develop my own project, it would be to go there with a gun to stall the bank. But thanks to the good luck, I meet Naked Wine people, and they proposed me a way of working, making my wines with their financial resource. I'm happy that I met Naked Wine people because thanks to all the angels in Naked Wines, with the £20 you pay every month, Naked Wine, they have enough money resource to finance independent winemakers as me. For me, the only thing I can say to you is thank you very much, because thanks to your support, I was able to become through my dream. So my life today is much better. My work is funnier. I enjoy much more making my own wines, and everything of this is thanks to you. So thank you very much. I could say it 1,000,000 times, but it means always the same. Thank you.
So what he really means is thank you for keeping me out of jail. But no, really, it's not made up. It's very true. It's very authentic, and it's real. And it's the amazing part of working in this business, that the winemakers' lives are changed. There are customers who can change his life and Katie's life, and then us working in the business, we can facilitate it all. And it turns out it's amazing business. It works out great for everyone. Okay, so we don't do it because we're nice, although we really are. We do it because it's better business for everyone. Okay, so the winemakers are the suppliers, the vicious circle. So the traditional industry, the tactic is to screw them into the ground to get lower prices, and because they've got high selling costs, which they must pass on to the supplier. Our model is, well, let's invest that money inside the bottle, make it so delicious that you don't have to spend the money trying to sell it in the first place. Okay. So that selling cost is just removed. For customers, classic direct marketing mistake: find your best customers and fleece them, make the most money out of them, make them order as many times as possible until you've exhausted them. We do the exact opposite. We give our best deals to our best customers all the time. So as an angel, you get 25 to 50% discount on exclusive wines you couldn't get anywhere else. It's very clear. And with staff, rather than outsourcing, right-sizing, downsizing, we actually make staff shareholders of the business. So our staff own 10% of the business. So if they are working very hard, going the extra mile for the company, it's only right that they should be rewarded for doing so. And we're not alone doing this in our business model. Kickstarter don't like us saying this, but we're essentially Kickstarter for wine, and we are crowdfunding years before the term was even invented. And what we're seeing is this business model is perfectly applicable to any artisanal industry where there is a small producer who has the talent and is making the good, and it's a consumer who has to pay for those goods, and there's a middleman taking all the margin and the choice. So Unbound is an example of a book company who sets up authors in business and gets them to write books, and customers can pitch and back a book to get it written. And again, you're taking out the publisher, so the customer or the author ends up earning more money and actually getting paid for the book they write, and the customer makes the whole thing possible by bidding for it. Made.com is a similar idea for furniture. So there's a few different businesses which are taking this, and the whole concept is the same. With these sort of products, the customer shouldn't pay to be sold to. And absolutely key to our whole model is our customers, because we've got 130,000 of these angels in the UK, and we're spending their money. These are real people with real tastes, and it's only right that they should get a say or a vote in what we do. So we invite them to wine tastings, we invite them on trips abroad, we send them free samples every single month. We give them a chance to vote on important business decisions or wine decisions. Should we back a winemaker or should we pick these grapes? And the benefits are clear. They are our biggest advocates. They're our biggest salespeople. Our referral rate is very high. It's about a third of our customers are referred through their friends. And the nice thing is, their ratings help sell our wine on our website. So rather than saying this wine has won a silver medal from the China Wine Challenge, 94% of 35,000 people love this wine is a far more compelling reason for someone else to buy. So really, we started 5 years ago, and I've just kind of summarized 5 key things which we've learned in that time, which we could save you a load of hassle if you took anything away from this. So number 1 is give your best customers your best deals. So again, classic direct marketing mistake, doing the opposite, giving the best deals to the hottest customers at any given time. Our angels get the best deal. They get wines they couldn't get in the supermarket or anywhere else, and they get them at the lowest prices all of the time. Okay? Second observation we've learned is try not selling. Okay? So our policy for refunds is if you don't like a wine, we'll refund you, 100%, no questions asked. There's even a button on our website to say, I didn't like this, and we'll automatically pop the credit on the person's account. So A, that's a great customer service. People, appreciate that. And B, we've used it to build a really rich set of data to profile customers' tastes. So if you didn't like, an Albarino, we will remember that next time you visit. And any wines which taste like an Albarino on our site, there'll be a big red X next to those wines. And then we'll then recommend other styles of wines which they will actually like. So not many wine merchants actually tell their customers what they should buy as well as what they shouldn't. And it goes a long way to creating that trust between us and the consumer. Third point is being authentic. And this has really evolved over the years, and it's kind of come naturally, where we connect the consumer directly with the winemaker. And it works out brilliantly because, again, the most powerful thing for the customer to say is when they bring their bottle of wine to the dinner party, they can proudly plop it on the table and say, I'm friends with this winemaker. And you have that relationship built up with the winemaker, a person, and not a big brand. And it works to our advantage because wine, of course, is a natural product. And some years it's brilliant, some years it's different. The styles can change year to year based on the vintage or the weather. And the nice thing is, if a wine tastes different, the winemaker will tell his fans, it rained during harvest, it's a little bit leaner, it's a little bit crisper than last year, but give it some air, have it with beef, give it a shake before you try it, and you'll love it. And people totally accept that. They actually support them, saying, don't worry, next year it'll be better, we're with you all the way. Could you imagine if Coca-Cola or Evian came out and said, this batch of Coke, not great, but don't worry, it'll be better next year? It just wouldn't work because it's a big brand and people expect the same taste every single time. Whereas with our brand, it's all about the winemaker is the brand. They're a real person. Fourth point is, well, obviously we're naked, we're transparent. Sometimes things can go wrong. and it's our job to act very quickly if it doesn't. And one example of that, we do a lot of email marketing, and we send out an email to promote a Spanish wine, actually. It's a lovely Gran Reserva from Valencia. And we thought it was fine and sent it out to thousands of customers. And very quickly we saw the ratings on the wine were very bad, and lots of bad comments as well. And we tasted the wine, and it tasted horrible. We're like, what happened here? So contacted the winemaker. The winemaker had basically put it down the bottling line. I'm not very technical, but there's two buttons, red wine, white wine. The red wine went down the line. The factory guy pressed the white wine button. So put fizz and CO2 and everything into it. So it wasn't nice. So we sent our customers an email. The subject line was, "We owe you an apology," and gave them a free bottle of the next vintage as an apology and said, "Listen, we screwed up here. Fair's fair. Here's your bottle of wine and a refund." And it was our most successful email campaign ever in 5 years. And we lost some gross profit on the orders, but the long-term loyalty we got out of it, you cannot put a value on it. And finally, the last point, and probably most importantly, is investing in talent and not sales. So we don't advertise in newspapers and radio, any traditional media like that, because again, like with our wine, our same policy to advertising. You can't taste it, so we won't waste money on it, okay? But actually, we take that marketing budget that we would have spent on wine, or on advertising, and invest it inside the bottle, so that you make the product taste so good, people will come to you to try it, and you didn't have to spend that money selling it in the first place. So that's it from me. Quick one before I go. If anyone here has a business in the UK, US, or Australia, and you sell to consumers, and you think you could do with some wine to help you sell what you sell or do what you do, then I've got £100,000 worth of wine for one company in this room. All we want is a case study and help you do that. So my email address is there, or please come and see me afterwards. And yeah, just before I leave you now, just in summary, we're very much a Web 2.0 social business, and we believe it's the future of business. We've created a business model which we think one day all companies will copy. It's just a matter of time. And the challenge is looking at your own business and how can you do the same. And it goes far beyond building Facebook and Twitter campaigns. It really your business model needs to live and breathe social. So that's all from me. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Simon. A ver si hay preguntas. ¿Levantas la mano? No. ¿Preguntas para un sitio? Lucas, por ahí.
Hello?
Ahora.
3 questions in one. First, what percentage of the production of the winery goes to the angels versus the market? And if it is high, what's the motivation of the wineries to produce the best wine if the sales are guaranteed? And the third question is how do you deal with the fact that wine lovers like wine discovery? And this concept is somehow contradictory with wine discovery. Because, I guess you are consuming the bottles that you have invested in.
Okay, so first question.
Production going to the angels versus the market.
Okay, fine. So yeah, what percentage of our winemakers work exclusively with us and with other companies? It's a mixture, really. We've got about 60 winemakers who work full-time for us. We pay them a salary, and 100% of their production goes to Naked Wines. And the rest are a mixture of, they sell wines elsewhere. But the important thing is the wines that we invest in are exclusive to us.
What's their motivation to do the base wines if the sales are guaranteed?
The motivation is we pay our bills on time. So rather than after 6 months, we pay the bills before a grape is even picked. And if they make a bad wine on the website, the ratings will be poor, and there may not be a reorder. So it's in everyone's interest. Their motivation, what they're getting out of it is they get peace of mind, they make a living, and they sell all their product, and they do what they love doing, which is making wine. The golden rule with winemakers is the best winemakers are the worst salesmen. The best salesmen are the worst winemakers. Well, we try to find the small, the quiet, shy winemaker who spends all his time in the cellar making the wine taste delicious, rather than the flashy guy in a suit at a wine fair. And the discovery?
Yeah, I guess if I'm an angel, I invest in a winery.
Yep.
The motivation is that I consume repeating orders from those wines.
No, so
this is contradictory with the discovery experience of trying many different wines.
Yeah, maybe I didn't explain that very well. So as a customer, as an angel, you put in £20, and that gives you access to all the wines on our website. So you don't just sponsor a winemaker; you have access to 400 wines on our site, and you can become friends with all the winemakers, but you can really pick whatever you want.
Thank you.
¿Más preguntas? Por aquí, sí. No sé si... No llegas antes.
Hello. First of all, congratulations. I just love your exposition and the business you talk about.
Well, thank you.
Are you just based, your angels are all over Europe, just in the UK, also in Spain? How do you plan to go international? Are you planning to go international?
Yeah. So we will be 5 years of age in the UK in December. Last year we started in the United States and in Australia, and I think until we conquer those markets or really make a profitable business in those markets, then we may look elsewhere. I think it might be difficult in somewhere like Spain to bring our wines from, because it's a producer nation like France and Italy. Most people, and rightly so, you have amazing wines, so why would you drink Argentinian or Chilean wines when you've got amazing Ribera del Duero and Rioja and everything? And secondly, just talking to winemakers from Spain and from France, the reaction I get in general is, I've been making wine and selling wine one way for 800 years. Who are you to tell me otherwise, that it's any more successful? So as a general feeling, I'm not sure if naked wines as a concept would work in Europe. Certainly the business model and the concept of supporting small producers, whether it's cheese, olive oils, meats, coffee, books, painting, food, restaurants, anything, the model is very much applicable.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Tenemos tiempo para una última pregunta. Oops.
I guess, I'll look, I think just doing the very basic economics of it, you look at somewhere like Germany. The average price of a bottle of wine in Germany is €3.50. So to actually make a bottle of wine and sell it at any sort of profit to the majority of people is just a no-go straight off. Yeah, I'd say, well, Germany, there's got no taxes. For example, so the UK has got £2 duty. The average price of a bottle in the UK is about £6.50 now. So we can just about make a bottle of wine and make a small profit for £6.50, but actually the sweet spot is £7.50, where it's £1 over, and you're already eliminating 80% of the market because you've gone over too high a price point. But at £7.50, we can make a good profitable business at. So, you know, the average price per bottle in Europe, in France, Spain, I'd imagine it's around the 3 or 4 or 5 euros mark, probably maybe around 4. So just some quick maths would tell you it's going to be pretty hard to create a profitable business based on those numbers.
Ok. Bueno, ahora que estoy mirando, si tenéis alguna otra pregunta, solo estáis los dos ahí arriba. Nada. Thank you very much, Eamon. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. The company was founded by a guy called Rowan Gormley, who's my boss. Saul was speaking about entrepreneurs last night at a founders event or at a CEO's event, and talking about, you know, in some countries, some systems, you just get people who are just serial entrepreneurs, and no is not an answer for them. And Rowan is one of these guys. He set up 3 businesses under Richard Branson at Virgin, so Virgin Finance, Virgin One Account, and Virgin Wines. And then in 2007, if you rewind back, the recession had just hit. Lehman Brothers had just got. Thank you very much for the introduction. First off, I just want to apologize. My Spanish is terrible. My English is even worse, but I'm Irish, so hopefully the translators will understand everything. So today I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Naked Wines and our story. So thank you very much for having me along today to tell you this. And I really just want to tell you about how we've innovated a very ancient industry, the wine industry, and how we've achieved success and profitability. I used to work for Accenture, and I see they're a kind sponsor of this event, so I'll be nice. Let's just say it didn't suit me. So I started a wine blog on the side of my job, and that wine blog took me to a wine bloggers conference in Vienna, where I met Rowan, my boss, my future boss, and went for some beers and some more beers, and 4 months later I was working for him, running his business. About Naked Wines, and the question on everyone's lips is, where is future growth coming from? Is it coming from the Far East? On bust, the world was falling apart, and Rowan decided it was a great time to leave his job, take 15 of his best people with him, and start Naked Wines. So if you picture it, they're in Rowan's back garden with a blank sheet of paper, sitting under a tree, thinking, what do we do next? And this is where the concept of Naked Wines was born. Just quickly about myself, so I'm COO of the business, so my job is to travel around the world to find winemakers to make wines for our customers. So I enjoy my job. Before that, you're probably thinking, how the hell did I land that job? And some lessons we've learned along the way, so, you know, going forward with your own businesses, maybe you can learn something from what we've done in the last 5 years. So really, just Naked Wines as an introduction, we're a crowd-funded wine business. So we're a wine retailer with a difference. We're online only, and our customers support small independent winemakers in exchange for preferential prices. Okay, the company was founded 5 years ago in Norwich, in England. We've got 85 people up there, and last year we launched in the United States and Australia.